From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. Keith Allen, and welcoming you into this weekend edition of For the People. Hope you had a great week. It's hard to believe that this week is over here, being on a Friday. And if you're listening to this show over the weekend, enjoy. That's why we call it For the People Weekend. Now, a lot of stuff has gone on this past week. We don't cover everything, but some of the things that most stand out, like Donald Trump's health. It was just a barrage of questions from a lot of left-leaning networks like CNN, CBS, NBC, ABC, PBS. That's pretty much it. They just had such an amazing time trying to find something that the doctor didn't find, and here is some of that audio. And you know, you gotta hand it to the Good Doctor. I'm not talking about NBC's program, The Good Doctor, which I actually do like that show. I'm talking about Ronnie Jackson. By the way, I got to say that physician Ronnie Jackson is not just Donald Trump's physician, but was the physician for Barack Obama and also George W., in case you wanted to kind of have some factoid information. You were talking about, you know, a doctor who makes sure that the president is in the health that he needs to be in, and whether it's a Sudafed, whether it's an aspirin or Tylenol, whatever it is, I mean, they check everything. Your doctor may not do, but when you get a presidential inspection, physical, I mean, MRIs, CAT scans, you name it, just to make sure that, I mean, you're the president of the free world. You're going to get that particular, it doesn't matter if you're left or right. This has been going back for eons, for hundreds of years, just to make sure that they are fit for office. That's kind of like a mandate here. Here's some of the audio from this past week.
Can you assess the president's mental fitness for office?
I had absolutely no concerns about his cognitive ability.
Is there anything you're keeping from us for privacy reasons?
I can promise you there's absolutely nothing that I'm withholding from this. I told the president that if he had a healthier diet over the last 20 years, he might live to be 200 years old. I don't know.
Oh, my God. And the eyes rolled back in the room when they heard that from the doctor. Don't you understand? They do not wish Donald Trump well. They want him to have heart disease. They want him to have heart disease. Did you hear about Sanjay Lupa, whatever his name is, on CNN? I don't watch the network, but he's the medical correspondent. Sanjay Lupa, yeah. I think he's from Tampa. Anyways, he's the correspondent, and he came out saying that the doctor misdiagnosed him. Sanjay didn't even. Yeah. How do you diagnose somebody unless you actually are the one that's actually doing the exam? And he wasn't even in the room. But just saying because of the fact he has elevated cholesterol and that he's on Crestor, he has heart disease. You may have precursors for a lot of things. But to stave it off, he's taking Crestor, and his levels are great because they're being maintained. The guy's a 70-year-old man. He has elevated a lot of people. Millions of Americans are on Crestor. It's not just Americans. A man of his age, the guy does eat KFC. Barack Obama loved cheeseburgers. Look, Bill Clinton had heart disease. He actually had to have a triple bypass surgery, a roto-rooter, everything. He's on some big diet to pretty much vegan, from what I understand. I mean, he's lost a lot of weight. But Donald Trump could lose weight. But there's people that are very overweight, people I know that are overweight, that have healthy blood pressures, which Donald Trump does, and doesn't have a big problem with cholesterol, which there seems to be no huge problem there. No alarms at all that have nobody around the president feels like this guy can't do the job, but the media, press corps, they're looking for stuff. NBC News chief White House correspondent Haley Jackson, Jackson, by the way, seemed particularly perplexed by Trump's positive results, asking about his mental fitness for office with her question. The White House physician explained that he had no intention of conducting a cognitive assessment exam until Trump requested it, because the media made a big deal out of when Donald Trump was slurring his words. And it's nothing more, the doctor says, than he was thirsty and that he was taking some type of allergy medication that was making his mouth dry. And I got to tell you, I've slurred some words before. Yeah, I may have been drinking. No. Maybe just not pronouncing the word correctly occasionally, but that doesn't mean that you're got some kind of mental deficiency or that you're just not fit for office, to run the office. If that was the case, that person wasn't fit for office, Barack Obama should have been ejected years ago. What's really weird about the whole thing, they make such a big deal out of Donald Trump being morbidly obese because he's, 50 pounds overweight? Yeah, the doctor says he could lose some weight, but now they're all, after the Golden Globes, they want to put Oprah in the White House. Isn't Oprah Winfrey overweight? Such an odd dichotomy here. I mean, between the two. Seriously, think about it. I mean, this revelation opened the door for a series of follow-up questions, and they allowed it to take place. There was a detailed explanation from the physician of why this cognitive exam was conducted, why Trump was judged mentally, whether he was fit or not fit for president. Donald Trump did it. And Donald Trump did it because he didn't want to have any question regarding anybody, any of Americans, Democrat, Republican, no party affiliation, whether or not he was fit for office. And he passed with flying colors. No matter how many questions came at, they tried to find some kind of impairment, something that they could impeach him for. Because if they couldn't get him for anything that he has done thus far, which he's done nothing wrong, the economy's in great shape, military's building up, we got great judicial appointments. Positive things are happening with the economy, infrastructure. I mean, there's a great sense of America becoming great again. And the Democrats are not going to say it, but conservative values are seeing fruits. And even though the left hates him, they're reaping the benefits of having a Republican in the White House that's following through, that's actually getting things done. I hope Donald Trump lives to 200. He's not going to live to 200, but he's certainly fit enough to get through his term. And he doesn't have Alzheimer's. I love Ronald Reagan, but Ronald Reagan at 70 and Donald Trump at 70, look at pictures. They're two different guys altogether. Ronald Reagan had more miles on him. Donald Trump, different life, but both entertainers, both Democrats, by the way, turned conservative. But Ronald Reagan, if you remember Ronald Reagan being in the White House, he suffered from a lot of this stuff. The dunderhead comments that they made, if you're old enough to, remember some of those comments, but the barrage of questions, whether or not the guy was suffering from early onslaught of Alzheimer's and all that, because they're looking, they want something like that to put on the president so they can get him out. Because they haven't been able, nothing else is stuck. They've tried Russia, they've tried that collusion, they've tried every measure, and it's not worked. It's not worked to their advantage. And so, instead of talking about real substantive issues like the government shutdown, they had to make such a event out of this. Barack Obama, they wouldn't have questioned anything. A clean bill of health, no problem, thumbs up. But because Donald Trump eats KFC, which, Barack Obama ate donuts and ate cheeseburgers, his favorite meal on Air Force One was a cheeseburger and fries. But because he was skinny, because he jogged up and down Air Force One, he was jogging everywhere he went, I always thought he was going to do a hoop or something. Yeah, Donald Trump could probably use an elliptical machine, and supposedly they're going to try to equip that. Donald Trump had one simple explanation of why he doesn't exercise, and he says he just believes that our batteries only go so far. And for a guy who sleeps, 3-4 hours a night, can you imagine how much stuff you could get done? No wonder Donald Trump is doing all he can do. No wonder. I mean, me, minimal 6 hours. It's not happening. I'm not getting anything done. Him, 3-4 hours, and he's ready. He's fresh. He's ready to go. Just think what you could do. Some of you, I don't know how you do it on less sleep, and you can function or take little cat naps. I'd be taking like 5 cat naps. Forget about it. I just think it's a joke. Everybody had to participate in this, and it's just such an embarrassment to think that that's what the American leftist media had to consume themselves and use that time this way, where there's such more important issues out there. CNN Jim Acosta, oh, there you go. He was thrown out of the Oval Office by Trump earlier in the day. And he asked if the cognitive assessment was the same thing as a psychiatric exam. They would never have done that to Barack Obama. They would have never asked those questions, never would have acted that way, never. They would probably have been fired by their network because it would have been deemed inappropriate. But because they come after him, because he's not one of them, it's perfectly acceptable. It's just no respect for the office. I mean, that it comes down to just that. That's the takeaway. There's just no respect for the office of the president. Even though I did not like Barack Obama's policies, I still respected the office. I don't know about you, but every time I see Air Force One rolling in here to the Tampa Bay area, that's where I do the show. Anytime, I see the motorcade coming past Kennedy Boulevard or MacDill Air Force Base, on Dale Mabry or whatever it is, I think it's exciting because I have a respect for the office. And I have respect for the man that's in the office because, again, he's a doer. Like George W. used to, I'm a doer. The big difference between George W., Barack Obama, H. Bush, Reagan, this guy has done more in 1 year than most presidents do in 8 years. It's amazing. And I'm just wondering what next. All right, the government shutdown. Trump, he said maybe we need to have a government shutdown. He said it one time. Maybe we need one. Well, I don't think it's a good idea that we shut the government down, but it seems like that is what the left is hell-bent to do this week. They want to do it. Here it is Friday. Seems like, the Republicans, the House of Representatives, they approved the bill to keep the government open, but again, raise the specter of shutdown. If Democrats in the Senate don't vote for it's up to the Senate. In a tweet sent just after 7 p.m. yesterday, Trump said, "We need more Republican victories in 2018. Government funding bill